National Day of United Nations Peacekeepers. And the theme for tomorrow's celebration is the future of peacekeeping, strengthening partnership and multilateralism in Ghana and beyond. There are two gentlemen in studio, officers, who would break all this down for us, help us understand what peacekeeping has been, what it is now, and what it needs to be if it is to stay sustainable. Well, we're joined in studio by Brigadier General Kenneth Kumi, who is Director General International Peace Support Operations Department. Brigadier, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to have you in the studios of Radio Gold.
Thank you very much for having me also.
Yeah. And we're also joined by Colonel James Bogbila Sabia. I hope I got the name right.
Sure.
Yes. Director International Peace Support Operations and Plans. Nice to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we are discussing peacekeeping because tomorrow we are celebrating United Nations peacekeepers. Their records across the world are well known. Question is, what's their state now as we celebrate them tomorrow? Well, first, let me start with Brigadier General. For those who are trying to understand the concept of peacekeeping, exactly what is it and what does it involve?
Thank you very much for this opportunity to throw more light, more specifically on the event that is about to come tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'll come on to your question, what exactly peacekeeping is.
Okay.
Yeah. The 2025 International Day of United Nations Peacekeepers actually marks the enduring legacy
Okay.
and the evolving role UN peace operations actually, and this time around with a spotlight on Ghana's invaluable contribution to global peace and security.
Okay.
Like you said, it's tomorrow. It's actually held on every 29th of May, and it's to honor the dedication and sacrifices of peacekeepers around the world, including about 2,241 Ghanaian personnel currently serving in around about 18 active missions.
Okay.
That's UN peacekeeping missions.
Over 2,000?
Yes, 2,241 to be exact.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You rightly mentioned the theme for tomorrow, and it was the future of peacekeeping. The future of peacekeeping. So once you ask about what actually is peacekeeping, peacekeeping is one of the visible instruments that is used for global conflict management and humanitarian. Not exactly humanitarian, but yes, humanitarian assistance that is used under the UN mandate, right? So that is it for conflict management.
Okay.
And merely protecting civilians.
Okay.
And that is the most visible under the United Nations mandate. So that is it. So going forward now is the theme that you mentioned. That's the future, and actually the theme for tomorrow. The future of peacekeeping, strengthening partnership and multilateralism in Ghana and beyond.
Okay.
Yep. In fact, actually this theme is directed towards the current situation in which peacekeeping finds itself and is virtually to address some of the issues in it. So I will in brief talk about the rationale of the theme for tomorrow.
Okay.
So I mentioned that that peacekeeping actually is the visible instrument for conflict management and civilian protection, actually under the UN Charter.
Okay.
The UN Charter, yes. Okay. In fact, of recent times, armed conflicts and other issues are on the increase.
They're not going down.
Going up, and it is very high now. And there's so much call for UN peacekeeping to be deployed elsewhere to solve some of these issues. First and foremost, we are the most active instrument to handle these issues, but now we are struck with certain challenges. One, financial. The second one is more of political pushback
Okay.
from mostly host nations. So that is why the theme is looking at more multilateral, because they've seen that is the only way they can, that means they can employ to pool global resources amidst, most importantly, the financial aspect, which also happens to be a challenge to them. So these are the issues surrounding the theme, and it's actually in line with the recent 2025 ministerial, that is the UN Peacekeepers Ministerial that took place in Berlin. They came out with those outcomes. But there was the very, very important thing that they mentioned as one of the outcomes, which happens to be financial sustainability.
Okay.
And it was more of a clear call on all member states to actually contribute their financial quota to enable them to sustain peacekeeping missions. So I will end here with the basic overview of what the day actually is meant for.
And that will happen tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Kenna, you wanted to ask something?
Yes, I just wanted to add up to what my colleague just said on peacekeeping. Peacekeeping that changed in the last decade. Now, instead of peacekeeping that we now call it peace operations.
Okay.
Okay, and then peace operations encompasses the peacekeeping, we have conflict prevention.
Okay.
That we use diplomatic means to solve problems. Okay. We get early warnings, so we nip conflicts in the bud before they raise their ugly heads. Okay. And then we have peace enforcement that give mandate to the peacekeeping force to use force to ensure that the mandate that has been entrusted on them by the UN Security Council is enforced. And then we have peace building. Okay. After you keep peace, what do? You build it. You ensure that whatever that has gone wrong during the conflict is restructured through maybe electoral, democratic means, and ensure that the society strive in the modern era. And then finally, we have the peacemaking. Okay. After everybody is okay, what happens? You bring all stakeholders to a round table, and then you discuss on the do's and don'ts, what they were supposed to do, what they did not do, what brought out the conflict, so that everybody within the table will understand and then build peace.
That's just an interesting way. So there's been some evolution when it comes to what peacekeeping means. Now it's peace operations.
Yes.
And it encompasses the peacekeeping and other things you do to make it sustainable.
Yes. And then when you're talking about the evolution of peacekeeping operation, peacekeeping has gone through about 4 generations.
Okay.
We have the first generation that spanned between 1948 and 1989. Okay. That one we call it the Cold War peacekeeping. Okay. That was primarily involved interstate wars, conflicts. That is a state against a state. Okay. For instance, Ghana against Cote d'Ivoire. That a peacekeeping force will come in to breach between the two countries by just observing and reporting. And then we have the second generation that spanned between 1989 and 1999. Okay. That is the second generation. And then that one we call it the multidimensional peacekeeping operations. That one brought in the component of police force and the civilian component. And then the third generation, which spanned from 2000 to 2010. And then that one was more, the peacekeepers were given a robust mandate to enforce peace, like it is happening in DRC and then MINUSMA. And then we have the current, which spanned from 2010 to what we have now, which is a hybrid, which is the hybrid peacekeeping mission, where the UN do not only go into a peacekeeping mission alone as a UN force, but partner with regional organizations like the AU, the ECOWAS. For instance, the peacekeeping force we had in Darfur, in Sudan, was a hybrid mission called UNAMID, the United Nations ECOWAS Intervention Force in Darfur.
Okay.
So that is the evolution of peacekeeping within the 80 years of its existence.
Having said that, what is the current role of peacekeepers, and why are they essential to global safety and security, global peace and security?
Okay, first and foremost, the number one role for a peacekeeper, as contained in every mandate that the UN Security Council will bring out, is protection of civilians.
Okay.
We are supposed to protect the vulnerable, women, children, refugees. The second one is provide a safe haven for humanitarian actors to work effectively.
Okay.
We make sure that we provide safe corridors, we secure supply routes so that they can move in with their humanitarian aid to ensure that the vulnerable are taken care of very well. And finally, when all these things happen, we also ensure that the ceasefire that has been agreed on is maintained.
Okay.
So we stay behind after peace is won. We don't just pack our bags and baggage and leave. We stay for some time to ensure that the peace is consolidated by organizing elections. If you remember, I was saying that we have civilian components amongst us now, because peacekeeping is now multi-dimensional. So the civilian components include political affairs officers, electoral officers, and what have you. So we stay behind, ensure that if it is elections, they are properly managed. If it is we enforcing the rule of law, teaching the named country on how to enforce the rule of law, building their police, building their prison officers, we do that all in order to sustain peace, lasting peace in the country.
Then I guess I come back to you, Brigadier, on this one, because we are just talking about the challenges. You spoke about finance, among others.
Exactly.
What challenges are you facing today, and why is there a need to strengthen? Because the word you used was multilateralism.
Yes.
Why is that important now?
Right. Thank you very much. Like I said, the UN peacekeeping operations are currently grappling with significant challenges that threaten, especially their legitimacy and operational capacity.
Okay.
See, these challenges encompasses three main areas. That is the financial constraint I mentioned about, political resistance from host nations, and escalating security threats to peacekeepers. These are the main challenges confronting. But going further, for example, with this financial constraint, it's about declining budgets amid rising demand for peacekeepers, which I said earlier. The budget, the UN budget for 2024-2025 was approximately $5.6 billion.
Okay.
And this figure was short of the previous by about 8.2%.
Okay.
And looking in cumulative terms, per the last decade, it has decreased by about 33%. So currently, we're looking at UN managing all these peacekeeping operations around with about only 66% of the budget that they require. So that is
only 66%.
Yeah.
That's what they get. That's what you get.
No,
to
it has reduced to this point now.
Okay.
Because as at last decade, 10 years ago, yes, but now we're comparing 10 years ago and now, it has reduced by 33%.
Okay. Yeah, the conflicts are rising.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that is the main problem confronting us now. And despite this reduction of financial issues now, there's too much demand for peacekeepers to be deployed elsewhere.
Okay.
So that is one major challenge. The other challenge I spoke about is the political pushbacks from host nations. A typical example is Mali. They told us to withdraw because they had no confidence. That is the host nation telling UN to withdraw while the mandate had not ended.
Okay.
So we had to pull out. So these are some of the challenges also coming, and such things actually undermine the legitimacy of peacekeeping. Yep. And the other one I'll talk about is physical attack on peacekeepers. Now, now, in fact, terrorists are found in most of the areas that we operate or we undertake this peacekeeping mission. Not only terrorists, armed groups, and all kind of things. And they thrive very well under such situations. So they really want the situation to be as fluid as that. And the interesting thing is that they have modern weapons that some of them are well over what we deploy. Because for UN peacekeeping, unless otherwise you look at it from the point of peace enforcement, we don't have any enemy.
Okay.
We're just there for peace. So no one is our enemy. But now, the people that we are going to make sure that we ensure peace prevails are now so armed and more armed than us. To some point. Yes, because we have limits. We don't engage until we think lives and property, UN lives, property are in danger. Maybe this one will be too technical, but if I give you just a gist, you may understand what I'm trying to talk about.
Okay.
For example, I am holding an M16 rifle as my personal weapon. These other guys are with GPMGs, which fires rounds like 12.7 millimeter, and the distances they can cover. So they can even engage us as far back as possible, whilst ours cannot even reach us. Okay. These are some of the challenges that are confronting us.
Added to the challenges he mentioned, are also two current trends that is going on along the peacekeeping landscape. Traditionally, we have the Army, Navy, Air Force that goes into peacekeeping operations. Currently, we have cyber.
Oh, okay.
You get it? We have space to contend with.
Okay.
And then we have information. Misinformation can distort everything that you've worked, the peacekeeper has worked for. For instance, in Mali, misinformation was one of the reasons why UN had to withdraw from the mission area. Same in Mali, you look at the cyber security landscape. The mission was not so much endowed in cyber protection. So they had most of their equipment under the beck and call of any cyber threat. So because of that, the jihadists had the ability to eat into their the cyber space, change the mindsets of locals, and what happened in Mali is what we are seeing today. UN had to leave Mali within 6 months, something that is not done. So apart from the challenges that we've been facing, we also have this information threat, cyber threat, and then space. Most of these jihadis we have commercial satellites. They buy them.
Oh.
Do we have commercial satellites to contend with? No. But they use that and they spy on you, whatever you do. You can plan your patrols, they can change your routes through spoofing. What will you, the peacekeeper, do? So it calls for a modern dimension, a lookout for we peacekeepers to also adapt to modern trends in order to achieve our goals.
I guess that's why you need a lot more money.
Yeah, exactly. and touching on the multilateralism, exactly, aspect of our team, that is strengthening partnership and multilateralism. Actually, we think building lasting partnerships with others, inside and outside the UN system, will be very essential. Strong collaborative relationships that will help us pool resources to enable us bridge the gap between the mandate and mission capabilities. Also ensuring effective performance and addressing drivers of conflict such as climate change, international organized crime, and illegal exploitation of resources.
Okay.
Going forward, we're calling for all to come together because there is one particular threat somewhere, the U.S. The U.S. has threatened withdrawing their support, and the UN support for peacekeeping mission is about 26.95% of the UN budget.
Oh,
So when this one is out,
that'll be a significant.
that is why we need multilateralism to come in so that we can pull in global resources. Because if all these ones go, where do we get to replace? That is the question now. So tomorrow, that is what we're going to preach.
One of the conversations that you need to have urgently. There's one more thing. In fact, we're talking about the 2025 UN Peacekeeping Ministerial. You were just talking about it. Ghana actually played a leadership role there. How did that contribute to enhancing the effectiveness and efficiency of peacekeeping missions? I don't know who I tend to, whether it's Brigadier.
So are you referring to the 2023
Yeah, the
peacekeeping
2023,
ministerial?
yes.
So Ghana hosted the 2023 peacekeeping ministerial, and I must say here that it is the first time an African country hosted such a conference, and that alone tells you the stance Ghana have in the world when it comes to peacekeeping operations. And then the 2023 peacekeeping ministerial was organized under 5 thematic areas.
Okay.
The first theme was women in peacekeeping, mental health support for uniformed personnel, safety and security of peacekeepers, protection of civilians, like I mentioned earlier on, and finally, strategic communication. By emphasizing on these areas, Ghana facilitated a discussion that led to concrete comments, such as increasing the number of female peacekeepers and enhancing mental health resources, thereby improving the overall effectiveness of peacekeeping missions. These efforts were further underscored by the historic appointment by our own Major General Anita Asma as the first African force commander in any UN peacekeeping mission and the second female in the world. Aside that, in 2022, our own Captain Cecilia Ezwa won the Military Gender Advocate of the Year award throughout the world. And it's interesting to note that this year, tomorrow, a Ghanaian female peacekeeper won same award.
We'll win
Yes,
we'll be taking
an
award
award, and then it will be
tomorrow.
presented to her. She's called Squadron Leader Sharon Winzoti Siam. The UN Secretary General will be presenting the award to her at the UN headquarters tomorrow.
Now, congratulations to her.
Yeah.
So it's been it's the second time
The
that we're
second
taking
time
that.
in 4 years.
Oh, that's
Second time in
fantastic
4
feat.
years. So that alone should tell you the strives we have had within the peacekeeping landscape in the world. Aside that, the 2023 peacekeeping ministerial came out with members in 91 member states confirming pledges to UN peacekeeping missions, after which 57 member states made new pledges to address current and future peacekeeping challenges. These pledges included over 110 new military and police units. So if I'm talking about military and police units, I'm talking about maybe providing a battalion, a hospital, a formed police unit for any UN military UN operations, and specialized training programs and capacity building initiatives aimed at enhancing the operational readiness of peacekeeping missions. This we do very well by the establishment of the Kofi Annan Peacekeeping, International Peacekeeping Training Center. Such contributions, as I said earlier on, are vital for filling the gaps and ensuring that missions can effectively deliver on their mandates.
Well, if you just join us, we're talking about UN peacekeeping. A lot has changed since then. And I guess many people may not have been paying attention to the evolution we've seen and how that essentially would have forced this kind of missions to also evolve. And you are now talking about the experience in Mali and how that may influence the way you need to further evolve to be able to catch up with the trends. But in 2022, 2023, I guess Ghana had a membership of we had a seat in the Security Council.
Yeah.
Yes. What role did we play in ensuring that some of these issues are dealt with?
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, Ghana, 2023, and within that period, was a member of the UN Security Council. And within that period, Ghana, Gabon, and Mozambique, normally referred to as the A3, they spearheaded the adoption of a groundbreaking, that is the UN Security Council Resolution 2719. And this resolution authorized the use of UN access contributions up to fund about 75% of African Union-led peace support operations mandated by the UN Security Council. And the remaining 25% is to be mobilized jointly by the AU, the UN, and from the international community as an extra budgetary resource. This initiative marked a significant shift in the financing of peace operations in Africa. So Ghana, as part of the Security Council at that time, really made sure that this came into being. So that is one major stride that we made.
Kennel, would you like to add anything?
As I said initially, we need finance to function effectively, especially the growing trends in peacekeeping operations, where I said misinformation and the cyberspace and space itself contributes to our succeeding or not succeeding. So the call for multilateralism is not a far-fetched. No one country can do it alone. We need everybody on deck to ensure that we can sustain world peace, by which we stand for.
Brigadier, let's conclude by you giving us an idea what will happen tomorrow when we celebrate the day.
No, tell us what will happen tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. So a series of programs have been earmarked for the day. It will start with a flag-raising ceremony at the forecourt of the State House, after which we'll have a tree planting exercise. We'll also have reef laying and then photo exhibition, all at the forecourt of the State House. Aside that, we have media campaigns to sensitize the public on the importance of UN peacekeeping operations. And it's one of them that we are having here. Yeah. So at least now I know most of our listeners will know the importance of peacekeeping operations, what we stand for, what we want, and what the world can do to help us achieve the mandate that we have been authorized to do by the UN Security Council, all in order to ensure that there is absolute peace in the world.
And this is, perhaps this might take you by surprise, but I'm wondering if there's any way in which you see, because you're talking about the U.S. now threatening to withdraw support with Trump in office, of course, you can anticipate some of those moves. Is there a way in which you see a further increasing of the funding, and how do we get there?
Yeah, that is the main purpose of our theme. And we're looking at that particular area in the aspect of the multilateralism and strengthening partnership.
So building and
so that we
strengthening
can
those
pool
partnerships.
global resources. Like he said, no one single nation can solve global crisis unless we come together. So this is the time. Now that these threats are showing up, then the rest, we must come together and make sure that we actually break this gap. So that is the main essence of our theme for tomorrow.
They need to come together.
Yes, and the theme as part of it is Ghana and beyond. Ghana and beyond. So everywhere, even the corporate world civil society can come in, because we all have a role to play. We all have a role to play to ensure that we have world peace, without which we just cannot make it.
And it's interesting to hear that nowadays UN peacekeepers are attacked.
Yes.
That you have threats, because in the past there was always the impression that you don't touch a UN peacekeeping force. That even when there was war, the feuding parties know that when civilians are in the hands of the UN, you do not go there. You're saying that trend is dissipating gradually.
Yeah.
That you have feuding parties who actually come at you.
Yes.
Let me give this example. This is it's Congo in Lebanon.
Okay.
The Israeli Defense Force. Look, this one was deliberate, firing on UN positions. It has been condemned anyway. It has been condemned several times, but this is real. It's targeting UN positions.
Yes,
Kind of, to conclude.
Yes, aside that listen, the fourth generation also brings this aspect of peacekeeping, which is the asymmetric warfare, where you don't have front lines. I'm just buttressing the point he made and the question you asked. You see, we don't have, now peacekeeping, there are no front lines. Okay? You go into a theater where you engage terrorists. During the day, they dress like civilians who you are supposed to protect. If they come to you for assistance, but behind that, they target you and deal with you mercilessly. So it's so serious. The dynamics are changing. You get it?
Yes.
Aside that, the misinformation I talked about, they will come, listen to you, and use that against you.
Okay.
Sometimes they record you.
Oh.
Yes, and then they'll use that against you, and then replay and tweet whatever you said. Okay. Aside that, we also have the peacekeepers being accused wrongly, especially when it comes to sexual exploitation and abuse. We have loads of complaints where the civilian population in war-torn areas, after years, 10, 15 years, will report to the United Nations that XYZ assaulted me sexually when he was operating in my country. And these things come, and this alone affect peacekeepers on their mental health and what have you.
There's a lot to discuss tomorrow. The shape in which UN peacekeeping is, and how do we all work together to perhaps increase funding and also support UN peacekeeping missions. They've been very, very important, especially to the protection of we civilians. When war starts, who protects you? And that is where the role of the UN peacekeeping comes in. Well, thank you very much, Brigadier General Kenneth Kumi, who is Director General, International Peace Support Operations Department, and of course, Colonel James Bogbila Sabia. And I want to make sure I get your name right. Who is Director, International Peace Support Operations and Plans. And thank you very much for making it into us.
Thank you too.
And wish you all the best. Well, that concludes our show for today. We are back tomorrow with another edition of the Gold Morning Conversation. Coming up next is the King of Mid-Morning with the Mid-Morning Show. Ochami Bajimba is up next.
One station.
Accra 2022, 23, 24 and more. We don't chat, bad driver. Back live.
Commercial free.
Just Mid-Morning Show.
Oh, we love Ochami Bad Driver. Mid-Morning Show.
The Mid-Morning Show.
Yes.
90.5.
Good morning, my neighbors.